Welcome back, boys and girls, as we continue our reel out on James and Giant Peach. At this time, make sure you have with you your stuffed animal friend or your parent or your sibling to help you ask and answer questions as we go. Before we get into chapter 29, let's stop and think about what happened so far in the life of James and his companions. Go ahead and pause the video and review with your friend what has happened. So hopefully you had that conversation with your stuffed animal friend to explain that James is in the middle of floating through the Cloudmen Kingdom, and they literally just crashed through a rainbow. So let's look at chapter 29. It seemed like a long time for the seagulls were able to pull the peach away from the horrible rainbow cloud. But they managed it at last, and then everybody gathered around and wretched Centipede began arguing about the best way to get the paint off of him. He really did look a sight. He was purple all over, and now the paint was beginning to dry and harden. He was forced to sit very stiff and upright, although he were encased in cement, and all 42 of his legs were sticking out straight in front of him, like rods. He tried to say something, but his lips wouldn't move. All he could do now was to make gurgling noises in his throat. The old green grasshopper reached out and touched him carefully on the stomach. "Now how could it possibly have dried so quickly?" he asked. "It's rainbow paint," James answered. "Rainbow paint dries very quick and very hard." "I detest paint," Miss Spider announced. "It frightens me. It reminds me of old Aunt Spiker. The late Aunt Spiker, I mean. Because the last time she painted her kitchen ceiling, my poor darling grandmother stepped into it by mistake when it was still wet, and there she stuck. And all through the night we could hear her calling to us, saying, 'Help, help, help!' It was so heartbreaking to listen to her. But what could we do? Not a thing until the next day when the paint had dried. And then, of course, we all rushed over to her and calmed her down and gave her some food. Believe it or not, she lived for 6 months like that, upside down the ceiling with her legs stuck permanently in the paint. She really did. We fed her every day. We brought her fresh flies straight from the web. But then on the 26th of April last, Aunt Sponge, the late Aunt Sponge, happened to glance up the ceiling and she spotted a spider, she had cried. "I detest spiders. Quick, fetch me the mop with the long handle." And then, oh, it was so awful I couldn't bear to think of it. Miss Spider wiped away a tear and looked sadly at the centipede. "You poor thing," she murmured. "I do feel sorry for you." "It'll never come off," the earthworm said brightly. "Our centipede will never move again. He will turn to a statue, and we shall be able to put him in the middle of the lawn with a bird bath on top of his head." "We could try putting him off of him like a banana," the old green grasshopper suggested. "Or rubbing him with sandpaper," the ladybug said. "Now, if you stick out his tongue," the earthworm said, smiling a little for perhaps the first time in his life, "if you stick it out really far, we could all catch hold of it and start pulling. And if we pulled hard enough, we could turn him inside out and he would have new skin." There was a pause while the others considered this interesting proposal. "I think," James said, "I think the best thing to do," and they stopped. "What was that?" he asked. "I heard a voice. I heard someone shouting." And that is the end of chapter 29. Who do you think James hears shouting? And how are they going to save Centipede? And what do you think is going to happen next? Here are 3 perfectly good questions to talk over with your stuffed animal friend before logging back into Google Classroom and answering them for me in your exit ticket. Thank you for reading. Work hard, stay focused. See you tomorrow.